What's up, guys? Is this working? Okay, so I'm just gonna make a video discussing my thoughts and opinions and what I've known so far about prop firm trading and how to successfully go about it in a way that actually generates what you're looking for instead of repeatedly blowing accounts and not having a proven system. But some notes and thoughts I've taken on prop firm trading and some overall things on it. But yeah, we'll just dive in. Okay. Okay, so for prop firm trading, I don't treat it like a normal live account because technically it's not. It's just all it is funds that is simulated funds that are given by an evaluation or by a prop firm in order to see if we can generate a consistent return in order to give us a payout. Pretty much that's the goal. But the thing with how people look at it wrong is you're not really supposed to be looking at it as a single account. It's like obviously you can sit. I mean, there's two methods to this. You can do the single account, which honestly I don't recommend unless you're like trading funded. And you can do the rotating account. Method. And I'll just take this in the fact I'm no by no means I'm not an expert. I'm just stating what I've learned at this point and how prop firms are a lot different than live accounts, where live accounts you're just compounding over time. Prop firms are different, as in there's different drawdown limits and all that kind of stuff. All right. So with these two different methods, pretty much with a single account, obviously it's gonna be treated more like a live account. Whereas if we're provided 2000 drawdown, max drawdown. Let me see if I can enlarge this for y'all boys. $2,000 max drawdown. So really, we all know what that means because I mean, if you're watching this, you already know most things about prop firms. But a max drawdown is pretty much how we should treat it like a live. So this is technically the amount of money we are given. So the amount we can play with. So because that's the amount we can play with, holy, we're not. This is pretty much a live account. Even if it says 50K, in reality, it is the $2,000 that we are given. So if it's 2,000, we want to go by our metrics. So we want to find out if we're doing the single count method. This is. I'll tell you about rotating a little bit, but the single count, we want to find out what's our max loss streak for our system. So the only way you can find that out is through backtesting and collected data. So that's why the importance of collecting data. That's why it's important, because without these, we cannot figure out what this is. That's a goofy, what the heck. So let's say our backtest and collected data, let's give it some, let's say like it's 6 max losses in a trade or trading streak pretty much. So if it's 6 then, or let's see, I'm trying to think of something like more, because 6 would be a higher win rate system, maybe more applicable to us. Let's do 10, just to make it easy. So say we have 10 max losses that we can take. So if we take 10 losses in a row, we'll blow the count. But that's how many we can take before we have a big win. This is like a very high R system because 10 is a super high R. That means like we can take tons of losses in a streak. So if we're shooting for 10 for 2,000 drawdown account, we are looking for to give it some room for like 20. So 20 losses in a row. But we'll just say it's 10. So 10, 2,000, 100, or 200. So pretty much we're risking 200 per trade because we don't want to. Oh, I'll go off the basis. We have 6, but we don't want to go off of the 10 because the 10 is our max and the 6 is our back tested collected data max loss streak. So with the 6, we don't, it'll allow us to give that, that rim of 4 trades that doesn't allow us to blow the count. So that's why we have the importance of backtesting and collecting data, because you can see your losing streak in order to literally not blow your counts pretty much, because you always keep it above that method. Sweet. So because we have that, so we're pretty much risking $200. That's huge on every single trade. And that will allow us not to blow it and slowly build that equity curve up where, especially with a higher R, it's going to look like this and this, and big wins, and this, that. It's going to be a very slow process with single accounts. That's why I don't recommend it until you hit our target in the pass, or you hit the failed target down here. Let's just call this the starting balance. So that's realistically what you can expect if you're doing this right, where you have your loss streak, your 6, and then you give it some wiggle room. You can expect to not go down and break it, not breach, not blow the account, because you're respecting your losing streak max, your max losing streak. So technically, statistically, if you have enough trades collected, you will not be blowing your account. So that's the single account. Single account method, I wouldn't recommend unless you're like super trying to keep tight budget right now, because this method pretty much means you're focusing on one eval and treating that eval like a live account. Which, in all honesty, an eval is not a live account. It's just a simulated funded, and we should try to pass and rinse them fast as possible. But if you're in a situation where you don't want to spend tons of money on evals, I get it. And so this might be a method that would work for you, where you're treating it like a live account. Because a live account, we're doing technically the same thing, where we're finding out our statistically max loss limit that allows us to generate the positive P&L curve. Sweet, so there's that, and pretty much you just farm that till you get to the funded stage. And then obviously the same till you get a payout. But obviously you have to be aware of like trailing drawdowns and all that kind of stuff. That's why I don't recommend this as much. Okay, so for the more profitable method, and the more method that requires more capital, this is the rotating account method. So what we're looking for with this is we're pretty much we're treating it as an ROI game instead of a single account game. So it's ROI over time. And that means eval cost versus payouts received. This will make sense in a minute. I cannot spell right now, holy crap. So if we're doing eval cost for payouts received, we're pretty much treating it like a risk to reward. In a basic RR system, we're risking something to gain something. So in an RR system, we're pretty much risking, like let's say it's a basic like 1, 2, 2 or something. Okay, so obviously you all know how RR works. I'm risking 1 to make 2. Very simple. And that will play into, percentages and stuff, but this is the basics of it. So an eval versus cost payout system in a rotating account, we're not looking to trade them for so long like we do in the single account method. We're looking to rotate them and generate large amounts of income, because we're like trading it, we're blowing it, we're passing them, we're blowing it. It's back and forth. That's why you need to know, do you have a profitable system first before you start this? Emphasis on this. So you need a profitable system first, because if you don't, the RR is going to be, you're just going to be losing it. So you're not going to be gaining anything. You're just going to be losing money in the long term. So what does this mean? And this is when we go to my other points over here. Show y'all. I put these up. Okay. So this is something, a little diagram I made to discuss the rotating account system, or showing, instead of the single trade eval system, we're rotating accounts and we're treating it as a business and an ROI, because a business has to spend money in order to make money. That's, every business has to function in that way, even trading. So trading, we have to spend money in order to gain money. Same goes for everything else. Okay. So spending money. So spending 200 on evals. This is just a theoretical example. Let's say we buy 4 eval accounts. We got 150K, 250Ks, 350Ks, 450Ks. Let's say in total we spent $200 on evals. That's realistic because each 50K costs $50. Sweet. And let's say we only pass 2 of them. The other 2 we fail because, and you might ask, we're using a higher size. And that's the difference. This text is huge. Holy crap. I'll just tell y'all. We're using higher size in order to pass these quicker. So, because we're using higher size, we're not going to always have a trade that's going to win. We're going to have trades that'll lose. And the higher size pretty much it builds up a bigger buffer pretty much. If that makes any sense. We're pretty much expanding our size, so that expanding the possibilities of blowing account or passing account. Because with this system, we want to just do it quick. And that's what you'll see the very profitable traders do, is they don't treat each account like a live account. They treat it like just a cost of business. So eval. So even if we pass just 2 of the evals out of the 4, we're technically still profitable. So spend 200 on evals. Then we go to the next stage. So now let's say 2 evals, they go funded. So we have 2 funded accounts. Sweet. Let's say we get 2 funded accounts out of that. Only one funded account goes to a payout. So the other one we blow because we're using high size. So stick with me here. 1 funded account goes to payouts. Let's say we fail 1 funded, but the other gets a payout. Perfect. That's still great because we're still making our way to our ROI. We invested $200, but we are still looking for the payout. Sweet. Okay, so we fail funded, go into the payout stage. Now what that means is we take $1,000 payout. This is just a simple example. You can scale this up, make it $10,000 spent on evals, $40,000 profit. You can make as large as you want, just depending on what size you're using. It's pretty much the business model. So we have a payout. We take that payout for $1,000. And what does that mean? We've made $800 in profit because we originally spent $200 on evals. We've gotten $1,000 from payouts, which means plus 800 into our pockets. And you pretty much rinse and repeat the system. As long as you have a profitable system, anything 50% over 1 hour, or vice versa for whatever it is, you will make money with this. You just literally you can't get attached to each eval. You treat it all as a business expense, and you track. So you can do, I'm just gonna make this make sense for y'all. You can do it by the month pretty much. Where's my grabbing tool? There we go. So like say you have like monthly prop firm ROI, return on investment pretty much. So you're pretty much tracking what you spent on evals versus what you gain on evals, and that's how you make money. We're not trying to spend $50 on an eval and farm it up to a $10,000 payout. No, we're going to have to spend a lot of money to make a lot of money. That's part of business, and that's part of trading anyways. So let's say in a larger example than the $100 payout, we spent, let's say we spent $2,000. That's a lot on evals, by the way. On evals, and also we got to factor in what's it called, don't they people, but yeah, it's what's it called, like funded activations. Sweet. So we spent that on evals activations in this month. So what are we looking for then? Because we spent 2,000 on evals and activations, that means we probably got a ton of accounts. And so we only need to get like 1 to 10% of the accounts out of the 100 to payout stage. That's it in order to make it back. And let's say for each account, 1 to 10 of them, we make $2,000 just to make it simple. So 2,000 times 10 is what? $20,000. 20,000. I think I'm tripping. No, I'm not. So pretty much $20,000 in payouts received. That's how we're treating this game. And then that means you leave with a net 18,000. Boom. And that's your real P&L for the month. Y'all understand? It's really super simple. We're not trying to single farm a eval. We're trying to treat it as a business. And that's literally where you'll make most of your money this way. Because then you're not attached to one eval. You're just like taking trades, winning, losing them, passing, blowing them, getting a funded stage, getting the payout, and then you track it at the end of the month or end of the quarter, whatever you're trying to use, or end of the year, even if you want to. And then you'll see, hey, am I in the positive or negative? I've spent 50,000 on evals and I've made 100,000 on evals. Boom, 50,000 plus on a year. It's that simple, even if it's something tighter. And that's the mindset I'm going to take in the prop firms, and to use this when I start scaling up more. Obviously I need more capital, but when I start scaling up to more accounts, 3, 5, 10, 20 accounts, you have to bring this mindset into it, because we're not trying to hold on to each little account. We're supposed to rinse them and keeping the money flowing pretty much in the ROI. Sweet. So hopefully that makes sense to y'all. And I'm going to see any other points to talk over. Yeah, so these are just some things I have in evals. Y'all know about risk reward. Low, high. Yeah, that's really it, guys. That's the basics of it. Is you have to think of it as a long-term game and as a business. Because a business, in order for a business to thrive, let's just do like 2 businesses or something. Business 1, business 2. So with these 2 businesses, who do you think is going to make more money? The one that's spending more on products and services, or the one that's spending less? The one that's spending more. Because let's say business 2 is spending like, let's say it's like some e-com business. They spend like, and obviously these have to be profitable business models. But let's say they spend like $1,000 on ads, and they're only gaining $2,000 on ads from ads. So obviously that business has a tighter profit margin. But technically, the more you spend, the more you gain, as long as you have a profitable system in trading or a profitable business model. So let's say for business 1, they're just going freaking all in, and they're spending $10,000 a month on ads, which is actually insane. And they're gaining, obviously, 20K. They're pretty much doubling their ad spend, 20K on ads. Which business is technically going to make more money? This is an easy freaking 5-year-old math question, but it's business 1, which is going to come out with plus 10K, whereas business 2 will only come out plus 1K. And that's how we should treat prop firms. We should treat it like business 1, where we're looking to spend more in order to gain more, but only with a profitable system. So first, you need to get your profitable system. You need to backtest and collect data to know your profitable system is profitable. And then now, once you have that in your metrics, your max losses, your losing streaks, your average winners, your average loss rate, your best setups, track all that stuff. You can go in the markets, execute, and then you can scale with prop firms like this, treating it like a business instead of trying to stay on freaking and I was going to show this example, try to stay on like one account, let's just say it's a prop firm, and you're only spending like $70 a month on evals, well, what do you expect to gain from that? If you're spending $70 a month on evals, you're either going to get 0 payouts, or maybe 1 month you'll get lucky and get 1 payout. And in the end, you'll only still make like 1K on the year if you have a profitable system. So you got to spend money to make money. That's the technical question for it. And that is the same with prop firms. That's the same with e-commerce. That's the same with drop shipping or whatever it is, whatever business model, it's the same. And that's how you should be treating prop firms. Instead of treating it like a live account where you're compounding, you have to treat them like a business. So hopefully this helps you guys.